The ship moved slowly through the dark space. It was a small vessel, built not for war but for peace. Inside, a woman sat alone near the window, watching the stars pass by like tiny lights in an endless ocean. Her name was. She was 32 years old, and she had been chosen to speak for all of humanity. It was a heavy weight to carry, but she carried it with a calm face and steady hands. The Galactic Academy waited ahead. It was a massive station floating in the center of known space. Every species that had achieved space travel sent their representatives there. It was a place of learning, trade, and most importantly, judgment. New species had to prove themselves worthy of joining the galactic community. Humanity was the species to reach the stars. They had only discovered faster-than-light travel 5 years ago. To the older species, humans were like children who had just learned to walk. Looked at her reflection in the glass. Her dark hair was tied back neatly. Her eyes were tired but sharp. She had studied for months, learning the customs and languages of a dozen alien races. She knew that first impressions mattered. One wrong word could set humanity back for generations. Her communicator beeped. She pressed the button and her brother's face appeared on the screen. "We are approaching the station," Minyu said. He was 5 years younger than her, serving as the communications officer on the human vessel that orbited nearby. "How do you feel?" "Nervous," she admitted, "but ready." Minyu smiled. "You will do well, you always do." "I hope you are right," said. "These aliens have existed for thousands of years. We are nothing to them." "Then show them what nothing can do," Minyu replied. The transport ship docked with a soft sound, stood up, straightened her formal coat and walked toward the exit. The door opened and bright white light flooded in. The Galactic Academy was beautiful in a cold way. Everything was made of smooth metal and glass. The hallways were wide enough for creatures of all sizes to walk through. Strange beings moved past her, some walking on 2 legs, some on 4, and some floating without any legs at all. Kept her head high and walked forward. She followed the directions that had been sent to her device. After several minutes, she arrived at a large circular room. This was the council chamber. Inside, 12 seats were arranged in a half-circle. Each seat held a representative from a different species. They all turned to look at as she entered. In the center sat Director. He was tall and thin, with skin and 4 eyes arranged in a diamond pattern on his face. He was the leader of the Academy Council, and his word carried great power. "You are the human ambassador," said. His voice was flat and cold. "I am," replied. "My name is I speak for Earth and all its people." "Earth," another council member repeated. The creature was short and round, covered in blue scales. "A small planet in a forgotten corner of the galaxy. Your species has only just discovered space travel, yet you come here asking for a seat among us." "We do not ask for a seat," said carefully. "We ask only for a chance to prove ourselves." Leaned forward. His 4 eyes studied her like a scientist studying an insect. "Prove yourselves. Tell me, human, what does your species offer? You have no great technology. You have no ancient wisdom. You are young and weak." Did not let her expression change. "We offer our willingness to learn. We offer our friendship. We offer peace." A few council members laughed. The sound was not kind. "Peace," repeated. "Every species offers peace when they are weak. But what happens when you become strong? What happens when you have the power to take what you want?" "We will still choose peace," said. Was silent for a moment. Then he asked a question that made his heart beat faster. "Tell me about your military," he said. "Which humans are trained for combat? Which ones are your warriors?" Knew this question would come. She had prepared for it. But now, standing here under the cold gaze of 12 alien beings, the answer felt more dangerous than ever. "All of us," she said quietly. The room went silent. His 4 eyes blinked one after another. "All of you," he asked. "You expect me to believe that every human is a soldier?" Not soldiers, explained. But every human learns to survive. From the moment we are born, we learn to adapt. We learn to fight when we must. We learn to protect those we love. She took a step forward. On Earth, a teacher can become a warrior if her students are in danger. A farmer can become a fighter if his land is threatened. An artist can become deadly if pushed too far. This is exaggeration, the blue-scaled creature said. No species is built this way. Humans are, replied. Our history is filled with ordinary people doing extraordinary things when they had no other choice. Raised one long hand. Enough. We have heard many claims from many species. Words mean nothing. Actions mean everything. He pressed a button on his chair. We will allow 3 human students to join the academy. They will study alongside students from other species. We will watch them. We will test them. And we will decide if humanity is worthy. Bowed her head. Thank you, Director. We will not disappoint you. We shall see, said. But know this, human. If your people cause trouble, if they prove to be violent or dangerous, we will not hesitate to remove your species from the galactic community, permanently. The threat hung in the air like a dark cloud. Looked at without fear, I understand. She turned and walked out of the chamber. As soon as the door closed behind her, she allowed herself to breathe. Her hands were shaking slightly. She activated her communicator. Minyu, are you there? I am here, her brother's voice came through. How did it go? They are giving us a chance, said. 3 students will join the academy. That is good news. Maybe, said, but they are looking for a reason to reject us. One mistake and everything falls apart. There was a pause. Who are we sending? Thought about the files she had reviewed. 3 young people had volunteered for this mission. They were not soldiers or scientists. They were ordinary people with ordinary jobs. And she said, Are you sure about them? Minyu asked. Smiled slightly. No, but I believe in them, and right now belief is all we have. She ended the call and looked out at the endless station around her. Somewhere out there, the 3 students would arrive soon. They would face challenges she could not imagine. They would be tested in ways she could not predict. But they were human, and if there was one thing new about humans, it was this. They were never more dangerous than when someone underestimated them. The academy would learn this lesson soon enough. The transport carrying the 3 students arrived 2 days later. Waited at the docking bay, her hands folded behind her back. She had spent those 2 days learning more about the academy, its rules and its dangers. What she learned did not make her feel better. The door opened, and 3 young people stepped out. The first was, she was 25 years old, small and quiet, with glasses that made her look even younger. She was a botanist who had spent her life studying plants. Her specialty was understanding how living things adapted to survive in harsh environments. She had never been in a fight in her life. The second was, he was 27, tall and friendly, with a warm smile that never seemed to leave his face. He was a chef who owned a small restaurant back on Earth. He had volunteered because he believed food could bring people together, even people from different planets. The third was, she was the youngest at 23, with sharp eyes and quick movements. She was a poet and translator who spoke 7 languages. She had learned 3 more alien languages on the journey here. Words were her weapons, and she used them well. Welcome to the Galactic Academy, said. I hope you are ready. Looked around nervously. It is bigger than I expected. Nodded and colder. Do they not believe in heating? Said nothing. Her eyes moved constantly, watching everything around them. Led them through the station. She explained the rules, the schedules, and most importantly, the politics. The other species do not trust us, she said. They think we are primitive and dangerous. Every action you take will be watched. Every word you say will be judged. No pressure then, joked. Did not smile. I am serious. The Council is looking for any excuse to reject humanity. You must be careful. Finally spoke, and if they attack us first, what do we do then? You do not fight back, said firmly. You report it to me, and I will handle it through proper channels. That does not seem fair, said quietly. It is not, agreed. But fairness is not something we have earned yet. We must prove ourselves first. The 3 students were given rooms in the student section of the academy. Their rooms were small and simple, with just a bed, a desk, and a window looking out at the stars. Classes began the next day. Was placed in the Biological Sciences division. Her classmates were creatures of all shapes and sizes. Some had tentacles, some had wings, some had bodies made entirely of liquid held together by invisible forces. On her first day, the instructor, a being with 6 legs and a body covered in hard shell, asked her to introduce herself. I am, she said, I study plants. Plants, the instructor repeated. How basic. On most advanced worlds, we have moved beyond such primitive studies. Some students laughed, felt her face grow hot with embarrassment. But she did not give up. Instead, she asked a question. May I see your botanical garden? The instructor seemed surprised. We have a small collection, nothing special. I would like to see it, said. Perhaps I can learn something. The instructor agreed, mostly to prove that humans had nothing to offer. But when entered the garden, she immediately noticed something wrong. These plants are dying, she said. The instructor's shell changed color, a sign of annoyance. We know, we have tried everything. Knelt down and examined the soil. She touched the leaves and smelled the roots. You are giving them too much light, she said. These plants evolved in dark caves. They need shadow, not brightness. The instructor stared at her. How do you know this? Because plants on Earth are the same, said. Life adapts to survive. That is a law of nature, no matter what planet you are on. She asked for permission to adjust the lighting. Within a week, the plants began to recover. Word spread through the academy. The human girl had saved plants that alien scientists could not. Meanwhile, faced his own challenges in the Cultural Exchange Division. His assignment was simple: prepare a meal that represented human culture. He decided to make a dish from his restaurant, a simple soup with vegetables and handmade noodles. It was nothing fancy, but it was made with love and care. When he presented it to the class, the instructor, a tall being made mostly of energy, looked down at the bowl with doubt. This is your great human achievement, the instructor asked. A bowl of liquid. It is not just liquid, said. It is memory, it is history. This recipe was passed down from my grandmother to my mother to me. Every bowl tells a story. He offered samples to the class. Most aliens refused. They did not trust human food. But one brave student, a creature with 3 mouths, agreed to try it. The creature took a sip. All 3 of its mouths moved at once. This is, it said, struggling to find words. This is warmth. I can taste the care that went into this. One by one, other students tried the soup. The room grew quiet as they ate. For a moment, there were no aliens and no humans. There were just beings sharing a meal together. The instructor said nothing, but noticed that its energy form glowed a little brighter. Had the hardest time. She was placed in the Communication and Strategy Division, where students learned to solve problems through words instead of weapons. Her first exercise was a debate. She was matched against a student named, a member of a species known for their intelligence and arrogance. The topic was simple: should weaker species be protected or allowed to fail? Argued that weakness should be eliminated. The universe is harsh, he said. Only the strong deserve to survive. Protecting the weak makes everyone weak. Listened carefully. When it was her turn, she spoke slowly. You say that only the strong survive, she said. But what is strength? Is it the ability to destroy, or is it the ability to protect? Laughed, destroying is harder. Therefore it is stronger. I disagree, said. Destruction is easy. Any fool can break something. But building something, protecting something, keeping something alive against all odds, that is true strength. She looked around the room. Humans are not the strongest species. We cannot fly, we cannot breathe underwater, we cannot survive in the cold of space, but we are still here. Do you know why? No one answered. Because we protect each other, said. The strong protect the weak, the old protect the young, and when one of us falls, another stands up. That is what makes us human. The room was silent, even had no response. After class found waiting outside. You did well, said. Did I? Asked. I am not sure I changed anyone's mind. You planted a seed, said. That is enough for now. But not everyone was happy with the humans' progress. In the shadows of the academy, a group was watching. They did not like what they saw. These primitive humans were supposed to fail. They were supposed to prove themselves unworthy. Instead, they were succeeding. One of the watchers spoke. The council is starting to reconsider their position on humans. Then we must change their minds, another said. We must show the galaxy what humans really are. How? The first watcher smiled, though it was not a kind smile. We will push them. We will hurt them. And when they respond with violence, as all primitives do, the council will have no choice but to reject them. And if they do not respond with violence, then we will make them. The plan was set in motion. The 3 human students had no idea that danger was coming. Felt something wrong in the air, but she could not name it. She sent a message to her brother Minyu, asking him to keep a close watch on all communications. Something is happening, she wrote. I do not know what, but I can feel it. Be ready. Minyu replied with 2 words, always am. The academy continued its daily routines. Classes were taught, meals were shared, debates were held, but beneath the surface a storm was building. And when it broke, nothing would be the same. 2 weeks passed. The 3 human students had begun to find their place in the academy. They were still outsiders, still watched with suspicion, but they had earned small amounts of respect. That was about to change. It happened on a quiet evening. The academy had different time zones for different sections, but this part of the station was in its night cycle. Most students were in their rooms or in the common areas, relaxing before sleep. Was in the botanical garden, checking on the plants she had saved. She liked to visit them in the evening when no one else was around. The silence helped her think. Was in the kitchen area, preparing food for tomorrow. He had been asked to cook for a small gathering of students who wanted to try more human dishes. He was happy about this. Food was his way of making friends. Was in the library, reading old texts about the history of galactic relations. She believed that understanding the past was the key to shaping the future. None of them saw the shadows moving through the halls. Was the first to be taken. She was kneeling by a small flowering plant when she heard footsteps behind her. Before she could turn around, something covered her mouth. She tried to scream, but no sound came out. Then everything went dark. Was next. He was cutting vegetables when the kitchen lights went out. He stood up, confused. A moment later, hands grabbed him from behind. He struggled, but there were too many. Something hit him on the back of the head and he fell. Lasted the longest. She heard the library doors open and immediately knew something was wrong. The footsteps were too quiet, too careful. She grabbed her bag and tried to run, but they were waiting for her at every exit. "Who are you?" she demanded. No one answered. A device was pressed against her neck and electricity shot through her body. She collapsed, her vision fading. When the 3 students woke up, they were in a dark room. Their hands were tied behind their backs and their feet were bound together. A dim light hung above them, barely enough to see. "Where are we?" whispered. "I do not know," said. His voice was calm, but his eyes were worried. Looked around, trying to understand their situation. The walls were metal. The air was cold and stale. They were somewhere deep inside the station, in a section that was not on any public map. A door opened, and 3 figures entered. They wore masks and dark clothing, hiding their identities. "So these are the famous humans," one of them said. The voice was mocking. "The primitive creatures who think they deserve a place among us." "Who are you?" asked. "Why have you taken us?" "We are those who protect the galaxy from threats like you," the figure said. "Your species is a disease. You spread, you consume, and you destroy. We have seen your history. We know what you are." "You know nothing about us," said. The figure laughed. "We know everything. We know about your wars, your weapons, your endless violence. A species that fights itself is not fit to join the galactic community." Spoke softly. "Every species has war in its past. That does not define who we are now." "Pretty words," the figure said, "but words mean nothing. Actions are what matter, and soon you will show the galaxy your true nature." "What do you mean?" asked. The figure stepped closer. "We are going to hurt you. We are going to make you suffer. And when you fight back, when you show your violent instincts, the entire galaxy will see. The Council will have no choice but to reject your species." "And if we do not fight back?" asked. The figure tilted its head. "Then you will simply die. Either way, your species loses." The 3 humans looked at each other. Fear was in their eyes, but something else was there too, something harder. "You have made a mistake," said quietly. "Have we?" the figure asked, amused. "Yes," said. "You think we are weak because we are not soldiers. You think we will break because we are scared. But you do not understand what humans are. Enlighten us." His eyes were cold. "Humans are survivors. We have survived ice ages, plagues, and wars. We have survived things that would have destroyed other species. We did not survive by being weak. We survived by refusing to give up." The figure seemed less amused now. Brave words from someone who is tied up and helpless. "I am tied up," agreed, "but I am not helpless." The interrogation began. The masked figures asked questions about human technology, military strength, and weaknesses. When the students refused to answer, they were hurt. Was shocked with electricity. She screamed, but she did not talk. Was beaten. He fell to the ground, blood on his face, but he said nothing. Was cut with a small blade. Each cut was shallow but painful. She gritted her teeth and remained silent. Hours passed. The 3 students were exhausted, wounded, and afraid, but they did not break. During a brief pause, when their captors left the room, they whispered to each other. "We need to get out of here," said. His voice was weak but determined. "The door is locked," said, "and we are tied up." "There has to be a way," said. She looked around the room, searching for anything useful. Then her eyes landed on something. She whispered, "That plant in the corner, do you recognize it?" Squinted in the dim light. It was a small plant in a pot, probably left here by accident. Her eyes widened. "That is a Moro vine," she said. "It is used for decoration, but the sap is highly toxic." "Toxic enough to hurt them?" asked. "No," said, "but toxic enough to dissolve organic material." She paused, "like the ropes around our hands." They moved carefully, quietly, managed to reach the plant with her bound hands. She broke a stem and squeezed the sap onto his ropes. The liquid burned through the material slowly. It hurt, winced as some of the sap touched his skin, but he did not make a sound. Finally the ropes broke, his hands were free. He quickly untied and they stood up, stretching their aching bodies. "Now what?" asked. Looked around the room. There was nothing here that could be used as a weapon except for the pot that held the plant. No, that was not true. There was plenty here that could be used as a weapon. They just had to think differently. Said, "That plant's sap, can you make more of it?" "I can extract more from the leaves," she said, "but it will take time." "Do it," said. He turned to that control panel by the door. "Can you read the symbols?" moved closer and examined the panel. It is an older encryption system. Give me a few minutes. They worked in silence. Every second felt like an hour. At any moment their captors could return. Collected the toxic sap in a piece of torn cloth. Searched the room and found a metal pipe hidden behind a loose panel. Studied the door controls, her mind racing through patterns and codes. Then they heard footsteps. "They are coming back," whispered. "Grip the pipe, then we are ready." The door opened. The masked figures stepped inside, expecting to find 3 broken hostages. Instead, they found 3 humans standing, free and ready. "What?" the lead figure started to say. But the humans moved first. Swung the pipe, hitting the first figure in the chest. The creature fell back with a grunt. Threw the toxic sap at the second figure's face. The creature screamed and clawed at its eyes. Pressed the button she had memorized. The lights flickered, alarms began to sound, and the door behind the attackers slammed shut, trapping them inside. In 30 seconds, it was over. 3 alien kidnappers lay on the floor, defeated by a botanist, a chef, and a poet. Looked at the others. "We need to move. The alarms will bring more people." They ran into the corridor. They did not know where they were going, but they knew one thing for certain. They were not victims anymore. They were survivors. And somewhere on the human vessel, Minu detected the alarm signals. He immediately contacted his sister. "Something is wrong. There are alarms in Sector 7. That area is supposed to be empty." His blood went cold. "The students, can you find them?" "I am trying. The signals are confused, but I think I have their location." "Send it to me now," said. She was already running toward the nearest transport. "And contact the council. Tell them what is happening." "The council?" Minu asked. "Are you sure?" "Yes," said, her voice hard as steel. "It is time they learn the truth about what humans do when they are pushed too far." The corridors of Sector 7 were dark and empty. The 3 students moved quickly, staying close to the walls and listening for footsteps. They did not know how many enemies were hunting them. They did not know the layout of this section. All they had was each other. "Do you know where we are going?" asked. "Up," said. "We were taken down, so we need to go up. Find a main corridor, find people." "What if the people are with them?" asked. "Then we fight again," said simply. They found a stairway and began climbing. The stairs were narrow and steep, designed for creatures with longer legs than humans. Each step was a struggle, especially with their injuries, but they did not stop. Behind them they could hear sounds, footsteps, voices. Their captors had recovered and were coming after them. Faster urged. They reached a landing. A door blocked their path. It was locked. "Can you open it?" asked. Examine the panel. "It is a different system than before. I need more time." "We do not have time," said. She could hear the footsteps getting closer. Looked at the door, then at the pipe still in his hands. Step back. He swung the pipe at the door panel with all his strength. Sparks flew. The panel cracked. He hit it again, and again. On the 4th strike, the door slid open with a grinding sound. "Go!" shouted. They ran through the door and found themselves in a larger corridor. Lights flickered above them. This area was still abandoned, but it looked more like the main parts of the station. There, pointed, an information terminal. She ran to the terminal and began pressing buttons. A map appeared on the screen. "We are in the old industrial section," she said. "It was abandoned years ago. No one comes here." "Then no one will hear us call for help," said. "Maybe," said, "but if I can access the communication system." Her fingers moved quickly across the screen. "Yes, I can send a message." "To who?" asked. "To everyone." She typed quickly, using codes she had learned in her communication classes. Within moments, a message was sent across the Academy network. It was simple: 3 human students kidnapped, held in Sector 7. Attackers still pursuing. Help needed. That should get attention, said. But their pursuers were not finished. A group of 5 masked figures appeared at the end of the corridor. They were larger than the ones before, and they carried weapons. There they are, one shouted. The humans ran in the opposite direction. They turned corners, pushed through doors, and climbed more stairs, but their enemies were faster. Made a decision. You two keep going, I will slow them down. No, said immediately, we stay together. If we all get caught, it means nothing, said. But if you get out, you can tell everyone what happened. Our story has to be heard. Before they could argue, he pushed them through a door and slammed it shut behind them. They heard him dragging something heavy in front of it. I shouted, "Keep going," his voice came through the door. "I will be fine." They had no choice. With tears in their eyes, they ran. Turned to face the approaching enemies. He was alone, injured, and armed with nothing but a metal pipe, but he was smiling. "You want to catch them," he said. "You have to go through me." The first attacker rushed at him, stepped aside and swung the pipe low, hitting the creature's legs. It fell hard. The second attacker was smarter. It circled around, trying to flank him, pretended not to notice, then spun suddenly and caught the creature in the side. But there were too many. The third and fourth attackers grabbed his arms. The fifth hit him in the stomach. He fell to his knees, gasping. "Stubborn human," one of them said. "Why do you fight for those who abandoned you?" Looked up, blood was running down his face. His ribs were probably broken, but his eyes were clear. "They did not abandon me," he said. "I chose to stay. That is what humans do. We choose to protect each other even when it costs us everything." He spat blood on the ground. "And right now they are getting away, so who is winning?" The attackers looked at each other. Then they dropped and ran after the others. Collapsed against the wall, his vision was fading, but he was still smiling. And did not know what was happening behind them. They could only keep moving forward. They found another stairway and climbed until their legs burned. Finally, they reached a door that led to a familiar corridor. This was the main academy section. There were lights, there were sounds, there were people. "We made it," gasped. But before they could take another step, a figure appeared in front of them. It was one of the masked attackers, larger than the others. It must have found another route. "Nowhere left to run," it said. Stepped forward. Her hands were shaking, but her voice was steady. "I do not want to hurt you." The creature laughed. "You hurt me. You are a tiny human who plays with plants." "Yes," said, "I play with plants. I know which ones heal, and I know which ones kill." She opened her hand. Inside was a small leaf she had taken from the toxic plant. It was crushed and wet with sap. "This is the concentrated essence of Morrow Vine," she said. "1 drop on your skin will cause pain. 2 drops will cause paralysis. If I throw this in your face, you will never see again." The creature hesitated. "You are lying." "Test me," said. Her voice was cold now. "I am tired, I am hurt, and I am very, very angry. Push me and find out what happens." For a long moment, no one moved. Then the creature stepped back. It was not used to being threatened by something so small. It did not know if the human was telling the truth, but it was not willing to find out. Did not wait. She grabbed and ran past the creature into the main corridor. There were aliens everywhere, going about their daily routines. Most of them stopped and stared at the 2 injured humans running through the halls. "Help," shouted. "We need help, we were attacked." At first no one moved, they just stared. Then one alien stepped forward. It was the 3-mouthed creature from cooking class. "I know these humans," it said. "They are students, they speak truth." More aliens began to gather. Some looked angry, some looked confused, but many looked concerned. Security officers arrived moments later. They surrounded and asking questions. "Where are the attackers?" one officer asked. "In Sector 7, said. "And our friend, he stayed behind to help us escape. Please, you have to find him." The officers exchanged looks. Then they moved into action. Teams were sent to Sector 7. Medical help was called for the two students. Arrived 10 minutes later. She ran through the crowd and grabbed both students in a tight embrace. "Are you hurt?" she asked. "Yes," admitted, "but we are alive." Said, "We left him behind, is he?" S communicator beeped. She looked at it and let out a breath of relief. "They found him," she said. "He is badly injured, but he will live." And held each other and cried. They cried from relief, from exhaustion, and from the knowledge that they had survived something terrible. Within the hour, the situation became clear. Security had captured the attackers. They were members of a faction that opposed human entry into the galactic community. They had planned to provoke the humans into violence, then use that as evidence to have humanity rejected. But the plan had failed. The humans had not attacked in anger. They had fought only to survive. They had protected each other, and in the end, they had shown more courage than their captors ever expected. Director arrived at the medical center where the three students were being treated. His 4 eyes looked at each of them carefully. "You were kidnapped," he said, "tortured, your lives were threatened, and yet you did not kill your captors. Why?" Lying in a hospital bed with bandages covering half his body, spoke first. "Because that is what they wanted. They wanted us to prove that humans are violent. We refused." "It was difficult," admitted. "I wanted to hurt them. I was so angry." "We all were," said. "But anger does not have to control us. We chose a different path." Was silent for a long moment. Then he did something unexpected. He bowed his head. "I have misjudged your species," he said. "You are not what I thought you were." Stepped forward. "Then you understand now. Humans are not dangerous because we have no control. We are dangerous because we choose when to use our strength, and we choose wisely." Nodded slowly. "The Council will hear of this, I believe. I believe things will change for humanity." He turned and left. The room was quiet. Then laughed. It hurt his ribs, but he could not help it. "What is funny?" asked. "Nothing," said. "I am just happy we did it. We actually did it." Smiled. "Yes, we did." Looked at the three of them, these ordinary people who had done extraordinary things. Her heart swelled with pride. "Rest now," she said. "Tomorrow we have more work to do, but tonight you have earned your peace." They slept, and for the first time since arriving at the academy, they slept without fear. The council chamber was full. Every seat was taken, and dozens of observers stood along the walls. News of what had happened in Sector 7 had spread through the academy like fire. Everyone wanted to see what would happen next. Stood in the center of the room. Behind her stood, and they were still recovering from their injuries. Bandages covered their wounds. Bruises marked their faces, but they stood straight and proud. Director sat in his central chair, his 4 eyes moving across the room. The other council members sat in silence, waiting. "We are here to discuss the events of 3 days ago," said. "Human students were kidnapped and tortured by members of a faction opposed to human entry into the galactic community. The attackers have been captured and will face justice." A murmur went through the crowd. Some aliens looked angry, others looked ashamed. "But that is not why we are truly here," continued. "We are here because these events have shown us something important, something we failed to see before." He looked directly at, "Ambassador, please speak." Stepped forward. Her voice was calm but powerful. "When I first came to this academy, you asked me a question. You asked which humans were trained for combat. You wanted to know who our warriors were." She paused. "I told you the truth then, but you did not believe me. Perhaps now you will understand." She gestured to the 3 students behind her. She is a botanist. She studies plants and flowers. She has never held a weapon in her life. But when she was captured, she used her knowledge to escape. She identified a toxic plant. She extracted its poison. She used it to free herself and her friends." looked down, embarrassed by the attention, but she did not move. He is a chef. He cooks food. He believes that a good meal can bring enemies together. But when his friends were in danger, he stood alone against 5 attackers. He fought until he could not stand. He bought time for others to escape, even though it cost him nearly everything. Smiled slightly, though it hurt his bruised face. And she is a poet. She writes words. She believes that language is the bridge between hearts. But when she was captured, she used her mind to crack codes and find escape routes. She sent a message that brought help. She used her words to save lives. Stood with her head high. Turned back to the council. These 3 are not soldiers, they are not warriors, they are ordinary people, a scientist, a cook, a writer, and yet they survived, they escaped, they won. She let the words hang in the air. This is what humans are. We are not strong because we train for war. We are strong because when we are pushed, we push back. Every human, no matter their job, no matter their skill, has the ability to become something more when it matters. Director leaned forward. You speak as if all humans are capable of this. That seems impossible. It is not impossible, said. It is our history, it is our nature. She began to walk slowly as she spoke. On Earth, we have stories of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. A mother who lifted a vehicle to save her child. A teacher who stood against armed attackers to protect her students. A farmer who walked hundreds of miles through danger to bring medicine to his village. These are not soldiers. They are not trained. They are just humans who refuse to give up. She stopped and faced the council directly. You asked which humans are trained. The answer is all of us. We are all trained, not by military schools or fighting academies, but by life itself. We are trained by every struggle we face, every obstacle we overcome, every moment we choose to stand when we could fall. The room was silent. Even the observers along the walls had stopped moving. The blue-scaled council member who had mocked humanity on the first day spoke up. If what you say is true, then humans are more dangerous than we thought. Perhaps we should fear you. Shook her head. You misunderstand. Yes, we can be dangerous. Yes, when pushed, we fight back. But that is not what defines us. She pointed to the 3 students. Look at them. They were kidnapped. They were tortured. They had every reason to kill their captors, but they did not. They chose to escape instead of murder. They chose survival over revenge. She lowered her hand. That is what truly defines humanity. Not our ability to destroy, but our choice not to. We have the power to be monsters, but we choose to be something better. Was quiet for a long moment, then he spoke. In all my years on this council, I have seen many species seek membership in the galactic community. Some were powerful, some were wise, some were ancient beyond counting. He paused. But I have never seen a species like humans. You are young, you are small, by all measures you should be weak, and yet you are not. He stood from his chair, something he rarely did. I asked you a question weeks ago. I asked which humans are trained for combat. I expected a simple answer, a list of soldiers, a count of warriors. Instead, you gave me something I did not expect. He walked down from his seat and stood before. You told me that all humans are trained. I did not believe you then. I believe you now. He turned to face the council. I propose that humanity be granted provisional membership in the galactic community. They have proven themselves worthy. They have shown strength, wisdom, and most importantly, restraint. The council members looked at each other. Then, one by one, they raised their hands in agreement. The vote was 12-0. A wave of emotion passed through the crowd. Some cheered, some clapped, some just stood in stunned silence. Felt tears forming in her eyes, but she held them back. This was not the time for tears. This was the time for words. Thank you, she said. Humanity is honored to join the galactic community. We will work to earn your trust every day. Nodded, see that you do. As the council session ended, aliens began to approach the human group. Some offered congratulations. Others apologized for doubting them. A few even asked to shake hands, a human custom they had learned about. Minu's voice came through's communicator. "I saw everything. You did it, sister." "We did it," corrected all of us. Later that evening, the humans gathered in a small room overlooking the stars. It was just the five of them, Minu and... "So what happens now?" asked. "Now we grow," said. "More humans will come to the academy. More will join the galactic community. We will learn from them and they will learn from us." "Will it be easy?" asked. "No," admitted. "There will be more challenges, more enemies, more tests, but we have proven something today. We have proven that humanity belongs among the stars." Looked out the window at the endless darkness filled with distant lights. "When I was a child, I used to dream about this, about meeting aliens, about exploring the universe. I never thought it would happen." "And now it has," Minu said. Smiled, "and now it has." They sat together in comfortable silence, watching the stars. Then spoke, "I have a question." "What is it?" asked. "When asked which humans are trained, what would you have said if they had attacked us, if they had started a war?" Was quiet for a moment, then she answered. "I would have whispered the truth." "Which is?" Looked at her friends, her students, her people, ordinary humans who had done extraordinary things. "You should pray none are angry." The words hung in the air, heavy with meaning. Because that was the truth about humanity. They were not peaceful because they were weak. They were peaceful because they were strong enough to choose peace. But if that peace was ever broken, if humanity was ever truly pushed to anger, then the galaxy would learn a lesson it would never forget. For now, though there was hope, there was friendship, there was the beginning of something new. And somewhere in the vast universe, other species looked toward the small planet called Earth and wondered about the strange creatures who lived there. The creatures who cooked food for enemies and wrote poems about stars. The creatures who fought with plants and won debates with words. The creatures who called themselves human. The galaxy had much to learn about them. And humanity had much to teach. The story was just beginning.